Somebody was struggling, with self-image problems, depression struggles, trying to always be the achiever, seeking the external for validation.
I've never
Um,
had any of those issues.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like, no, I wouldn't understand that at all. None of us have. None of us have. If you were going to talk to somebody that, was kind of dealing with that, what would be your advice beyond the gratitude?
I think all of these things are a process and a journey. And it just sounds so cliche. But, I went through a phase where I wrote down a gratitude journal. And it's just like jujitsu, when you learn a new technique, you have to sit there and drill it. And I had to write down what I was grateful for each day. Every night, I'd write down 3 or 5 things or whatever in my little gratitude journal. And after a while, that starts to seep into just who you are, and that you don't have to write those things down anymore. Every once in a while, you have to remember them. It's just the same. You have to sit there and learn how to do an arm bar over and over and over. And then eventually, they just become embedded and you don't think about it anymore, and it becomes part of who you are. I think all these things, over time, they start becoming that. I think it's that process. You become aware of it, and then you start to work on it, and that causes this change in you slowly, because I think I've taken steps over the years in these different aspects, and I think slowly over time, they just do start becoming part of who you are, and you forget that a little bit. And then when you asked me that, I was thinking, oh yeah, like I did keep a gratitude journal at one point. And then I went through a phase where I felt like I'm not being grateful enough for things. And so I set up other situations in my life to make me more grateful for those things, to appreciate things, to make them a part of my life.
Yeah.
And then that starts becoming a part of who you are. Like, and I think it just kind of starts rewiring your brain, I think, a little bit. And then you get to test those. Like the real time where you get to test those is when you go around family.
Oh, that is the truth.
Because
Yeah.
I found, for me, when you're around family, it brings you back
Yeah.
to like this infantile, obnoxious little thing very quickly, because you go back to those patterns and this evolved black belt, all this other stuff that
It's
you've
right out the window.
evolved, gone. And so then it becomes, how do you take those things that you've learned now, and how do you pull them back in to those most primal and most foundational relationships, like whether it's your mom or your siblings, or different things like that. Like for me, I think those are those triggers that in the past I wouldn't be aware of. But some of those behaviors are the things that you've changed. And so now you've changed that here. Now you get back into situations, and sometimes I get sucked in, and then you have to go, okay, how do I pull myself? How do I bring the new evolved things that I've learned or become part of me? They get stripped away, and then how do I bring those in to those
Yeah.
primal relationships?